Alrighty, folks. The topic of the conversation for today is well, these two AR-15 handguards. One is in front of me, and that's the fast track handguard from Catalyst Arms, and another one is here, and this is from technically from IWI, the Israeli Weapons Industries, but in practical purposes, I think it's their private labeling, the handguard from CMT. Just to shoot a better angle. I don't like it in front of my nose, but that's basically what it looks like. The guns are unloaded, as you can see, in case you had any concerns. So why these handguards? I apologize, there's a ton of mosquitoes here. I've got the mosquito repellent going, but I don't think they're very deterred. A little bit closer to me. Uh, why these handguards? This year I've been shooting quite a few matches. I have shot up in 5 matches to date. I'm shooting another local match this Sunday, and I've got one more in about 3 weeks. So lots of matches, and because I've been shooting quite a few matches, I have been adapting a little bit how I shoot and how I practice, and I find myself shooting more and more and more off of bags and off of tripods, both clipped in and with a bag on a tripod, that kind of stuff. My primary match rifle is obviously a bolt gun, but I kind of had an idea that I want to be able to practice a little bit less for a little bit less money ammo, and it would be kind of cool to go shoot a match or two using a gas gun. So I looked around to see what kind of gas guns I have that might be adapted toward the match shooting and longer range stuff and things like that. And I've isolated these two that you see in front of you. The one on a tripod on my right is an AR-15 Chamberlain 223 Wild. It's built around White Oak Armory 18-inch barrel that's relatively beefy. The gun balances fairly nicely, and when I went and started modifying, making changes, and seeing what I need to do to make these two rifles more adaptable for match style on the longer range shooting. The secondary purpose, this is also going to be my son's gun to shoot in a team match with me next year. The first thing to do, obviously, would be to change the handguards to something more appropriate for this style of shooting, and to change the stocks. So the stocks I haven't yet changed. This one is going to get a B5 a collapsible precision stock, and this one is going to get the Raps, whatever. The Fab Arms makes this very interesting stock, and they have a collapsible version of the Raps stock, so it's right here as well. But I did get my hands on the handguards quite a while back, and I've been spending quite a lot of time with them. The reason I chose these two handguards to look at is that they have integrated Arca rails. And Arca has become kind of a big deal, partly because of how much I shoot off of the tripod, partly because a lot of my bipods and can equipment to Arca, and partially because it provides a nice flat base for shooting off of bags. I actually found a significant difference. My normal match gun is a Q-Fix with a full-length Arca rail that I attached to the handguard, and I could have gone that route, but I figured there has to be something out there with integrated Arca rails, since so many of the bolt gun chassis have it. I figured it's only a matter of time before we see these kind of handguards for AR-15s. These are the two that I found and purchased them, and decided to experiment. Both have their strengths and weaknesses. On balance, I am not super happy with the one from Catalyst Arms. That's what's called Fast Track. It's not bad. And once everything is installed, it does its job. But I had a couple issues with it, and I'll go over that momentarily. But also one thing on multiple strength. With the IWI one, honestly, this is basically just a regular, relatively slim M-lock handguard with a machined Arca rail. The feel is very similar to, in terms of when you grasp it, very similar to how to feel if you just attach an Arca to a handguard, except there are no interconnects to frame. So this works very, very nicely. For me, I generally like to have a continuous top rail. For me, that's a nice thing to have. I occasionally run clip-ons and other things, and I like to be able to put different things on them when shooting off of the bags. For example, I clamp a little QD on thingy, not for sling mounting, but to put my thumb on to press it into the bag, basically go like this and using your thumb press the gun into the bag. So having additional attachment points and additional M-lock slots, etc., generally works well for me. Installing this handguard also very much like installing any other modern AR-15 handguard. There is a barrel nut, and it clamps to a barrel nut using this butterfly nut. I don't know what to call it here. I'll get you what it looks like. And everything goes on and everything works. There are anti-rotation tabs, so it's very easy to line up to the upper receiver. In terms of the rail machining, no issues. It seems to be accurate, and I don't have to make any for different clamps that I use. I will never have to make any particular exotic adjustments in terms of the clamp width. So it sounds like the whole thing is very much in spec. Basically, this whole installation use of the IWI rail has been completely uneventful. From IWI, I think it costs around $250. I got it on sale. It was about $220. Same rail from CMT, the company that makes them. There's a thing about $240. They're making a bunch of different links. I got the one that's 17 inches because I wanted to be able to choose where I hook up the bipod, and sometimes there's an advantage in moving it further out. Okay. I do not know how IWI's customer services. I haven't had a need to use it. With the fast track from Catalyst Arms, it looked interesting, so I went and bought one from, I think, Handguards. And it has a couple of interesting things to it. So, because it's not shaped like regular handguard, if you look at the cross section, it looks like a D. There's a flat bottom and flat sides coming up, and it kind of curves down. There is no top rail. In principle, there are threaded holes up here. They make threaded rail sections that you're supposed to put up on this. I've had this rail now for about a year. For a year, I've been trying to purchase one. It's never in stock. I've never seen it in stock. I've seen pictures with it. But, maybe they're sold out. I don't know. I can't find one. And reaching out to the company was also not fruitful. Multiple attempts. No answer. The reason I was reaching out to the company is that when I purchased the handguard, the way it works, it has a very wonky barrel nut. I'll talk about that momentarily. There are screws that go through the handguard to attach it to the barrel nut, and one of the screws was missing. It just was nowhere in the box, something like that. And all I wanted from them was get me a screw, or tell me exactly what it is. I'll buy one. I reached out a couple of times, nothing. Right, so it's I took it too long. So I found a screw that I had from something else that uses a different nut to tighten, but it has the right thread, and I put that in, and that works. And that's down below. This is what it looks like. This is the big thing now, but the simple fact that over multiple attempts I have not been successful in getting a hold of anyone in that company is mildly discomforting. The general profile of this thing, flat bottom and flat sides, is pretty cool and pretty useful because what allows them to do, the handrail is wider at the bottom. And, I'll show you. Right, so you can see the way the cross section is. And what it allows them to do, the transition from the sides of the handguard to the rail is relatively seamless, and all the edges are smoothed out. So when you grab this thing, there's nothing sharp in your hand. The step of grabbing it and carrying it, etc., this is very, very comfortable. And again, lack of the top rail is actually helpful for that. But there are a couple of weird things. So the way this handguard works, the barrel nut is reversible. You install it one way, it works for AR-15s, and if you install it the other way, it works for Ruger RPR. So it's the same handguard you can use as an aftermarket handguard on the RPR or aftermarket handguard for the AR-15. But what that means is that there are no anti-rotation tabs. So you have to somehow time this thing to your upper receiver. And the way, and I'll put a link to the video, they show you how to install this thing. Basically, there is this barrel nut they have. You thread it over the barrel onto the upper receiver of your AR-15, and then the actual nut that holds the barrel and threads on the inside of it. So you have to, through trial and error, time this whole goofy arrangement so that your handguard is not cancelled. Thankfully, once I got it all timed and set up, which took a few attempts until I finally got it, they sort of give you an idea of roughly where it needs to be in the video. That's not how it worked on mine. I had to do, thinking mosquitoes. I had to do a fair amount of trial and error, but I got it and I got it installed and it works. Once you've got it all installed, it works. There are no real issues. It seems to be fairly steady. I'm not seeing any obvious means of pressure on the handguard being transferred to the barrel. The rifle shoots accurately. There are no real issues there. I am mildly concerned with this way of attaching the screws. So one of the problems I've had over the years, I've had several handguards from Lancer and a few others that used a roughly similar attachment methods. When you have this barrel, a fairly beefy barrel nut with threaded holes, it needs to be timed perfectly, and then you use, in this case, what is it? I think 6 screws at different locations, 2 on the bottom and two at 1 o'clock position, 2 at 11 o'clock, to hold the handguard to the barrel nut. Over time, the screws gall and get stuck in there. So basically, that ends up being a permanent installation if you want to remove the handguard. After a good amount of time has passed, getting the screws out could be a problem. So on this upper receiver, I originally had the Lancer handguard with the same method. It was shooting fine, etc. At some point, I figured I'm going to swap the barrel. And I basically ended up having to destroy the handguard by removing and drilling out stuck screws. It was on there permanently. None of the screw removers work. I just drilled everything out, threw the whole piece of crap out, and installed this one. And what I didn't realize when I bought it, when I was purchasing it, is that this has the same attachment methods that may or may not give me problems in the future. But again, that's not a reason to buy or not buy a handguard unless you see, if you swap out barrels and stuff all the time, you'll be fine. If you occasionally loosen or retighten the screws, it should be fine. But if you keep them in there tightened for too long, it might get stuck. My plan is to use this handguard as is until I wear out these barrels. This one is a 224 Valkyrie that's shooting 90 grain, current production 90 grain ammo quite well. So it's probably going to be on there for a little while, and if it doesn't want to come off afterwards, I'll do the same thing. Drill out the screws, throw this thing out, add some colorful commentary, and move forward. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. So this one is a light, I think it's about $210, $220. This one is a 15-inch long handguard. This one is 17, but that's good enough for my purposes. This being 15-inch actually turned out to be fortuitous. The gas block on this barrel is just here. I can touch it with my fingers, and if I wanted to use, for example, an adjustable gas block from Odin or somebody else with a screw coming in from the front, it would be easy to access it while it is still hidden. So that's not a bad thing. Here, the adjustable gas block is right here, so I can reach it from the front. That's where the adjustment screw is, but it requires a longer element. Moving forward, again, I have no intention of removing, disassembling either one of these handguards. They are going to be used until the barrels wear out, most likely. The stocks, butt stocks, as I said, will be replaced, and that will be the subject of a different video. I am going to keep trying to get my hands on the top rail segments for this because I'd like to be able to run this with a thermal clip-on. Generally speaking, so the scope on this is a Delta Striker 3.5 to 21 by 44, which is arguably one of the better gas gun scopes out there. But it does have wide enough field of view and goes down low enough in magnification where if I wanted to go and hunt something with it, the pronghorn something, I want to be able to maybe shoot a pig if need be. Maybe it's not the powerful pig, but still could be worthwhile. So I'd like to be able to put a thermal clip on in front of this thing. And for that, I will need a rail. Hopefully, they will eventually figure out how to make a catenary rail section in sufficient quantities for it to be installed somewhere. I've only seen it listed on Catalyst Arms website. I have not seen it listed at any of their dealers. And again, trying to get any sort of information from Catalyst Arms on whether this thing is ever going to be manufactured or not turned out to be completely fruitless. So maybe I'll go shoot them another email. When I'm done with this video, and of course, now that I've recorded the video and I should shoot them an email, they'll actually reply. That's usually how that works. But that's that. If I were, knowing what I know now, if I had a project that would benefit from a handguard with an integrated Arca rail, I'd go with this one. I'd probably just buy one directly from CMT. I don't particularly care which logo is on it. Installation is simpler. There are more M-lock slots. There are on the 3 and 9 o'clock, but also on 1 and 11 o'clock there are M-lock slots. On the Catalyst Arms handguards, so on the sides, on the vertical sides, on the 3 and 9 o'clock, there are M-lock slots, which is quite helpful. And obviously, there are some on the bottom on both handguards. But at these positions here, at 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock, these are not M-lock. They are just some sort of cosmetic cooling slots or something of decreasing size. It looks very cool and all that, but I would have appreciated some M-lock slots. My best guess is that because this surface here is curved, they could not do M-lock here, so they decided to get creative. Okay. I'm sort of I prefer function over look, and I found over the years for some things being able to put M-lock accessories at 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock positions occasionally help. So I would have preferred that, but that's honestly not a showstopper. For me, the biggest strength of Catalyst Arms handguard is that it gives you enough M-lock slots, it gives you a full-length Arca rail, and it's very nice to dehorn. So if you're going to grab a rifle, carry a rifle, there are no sharp edges, it's very comfortable to hold on to. And the relatively major negatives are the goofy barrel nut and what, in my opinion, is not a great attachment method, complete and utter lack of anything resembling customer service, and a lack of any sort of top rail sections. Honestly, they're selling it for $20 or something. Well, if they ever get in stock, they should just bump the price up of the handguard up by $20 and ship one short section with it. That would make mosquitoes all over the place. That would make is this thing on? It's on. That would make a pretty big difference for me. As is, I've got another gun I'm looking to set up that will need an Arca rail, and I'm gonna buy probably one more of these, likely from CMT. Whether it's gonna be a 17 or 15-inch version, I am not entirely sure yet. That remains to be seen. I'm gonna put up some links of where these are sold. Again, I got this one from Anarchy Arms. I got this one directly from IWI. But I think these are the CMT label available from Primary Arms. So I'll put up links below the video. And if you have any questions, if there's anything I forgot to cover, do not hesitate to reach out at www.darklordoptics.com. Thank you.